Good morning. Welcome to Johnson Space Center. My name is Mark Geyer. I'm the NASA Program Manager for Orion. Thank you for coming today. It's a great day here in Houston. You know, when I was a kid, along with thousands of other kids, I watched men walk on the moon, and those flights and all the flights before really motivated me to be a student, to work hard on math and science. What we're going to talk about today, I think, is doing even more than that, actually bringing these questions and excitement into the classroom directly. So it's a great example, I think, of what NASA's trying to do and bringing these exciting things into the students' classrooms. As I said, I'm the manager of the Orion program. Behind me is a mock-up of the Orion. We use this mock-up to test human factors like, can the crew reach things? Can they get into their suits in an emergency? Can we get to the stow the equipment we need? It's very important work we do right here at the Johnson Space Center. At the Kennedy Space Center, we're putting together the flight test article that we're going to fly in space in 18 short months. We'll be taking that article 3,000 miles into space, entering in about 80% of the lunar entry velocity, and also going through the Van Allen belts, and it'll experience some pretty high radiation. Right now, the heat shield structure is being sent to Boston, and we'll actually put the ablative material on that'll actually allow us to survive that entry, and then it'll go to the Cape. All our computers and communication system and power systems are being tested in Denver with the flight software. So there's a whole bunch going on to make this flight test happen. As I mentioned, Orion is going to see high radiation during its flight. It's one of the things, this radiation is one of the things that we have to understand and manage better as we send people into deep space and to Mars. And so that's why this experiment that we're going to talk about is so important. We have a very august group today that you're going to meet and is going to speak to you today. I think it gives really a sense for how important education is to NASA and to Lockheed and to the rest of the nation. So I have the honor now to introduce Charlie Bolden, the Administrator of NASA.
Mark, thanks very much. It's good for me to be back home. It's always good to come to JSC. I want to welcome everybody who's here at the Johnson Space Center. I think everybody knows for more than 50 years now, JSC has played a vital role in America's human spaceflight program, both our storied home of mission control and the place where every astronaut trains to earn their wings. In fact, we were back in the green room, and we interrupted a little fire training going on for one of the future space station astronauts. If not all of us, most of us remember those immortal words associated with the 1970 Apollo 13 mission, "Houston, we have a problem." Today, we're here to announce an effort in partnership with Lockheed Martin and the young people of America that will allow us to take about a year from now to proclaim, "Houston, we have a solution." In a moment, you'll hear details of the NASA Lockheed Martin Exploration Design Challenge that will play a vital role in the launch of Orion, America's next-generation spacecraft set for its maiden voyage next year. I want to take a few moments to talk a little bit about the genesis and purpose of Orion. 3 years ago, my boss, President Obama, set a goal of sending humans farther into space than we've ever been, to an asteroid in 2025 and to Mars in the 2030s. And I'm looking at all the students out here, okay? Think about it, 2030s, that's you, that's not me. So that's what the president's told us he wants us to do, and we're trying to get there. But we've got some problems that Mark already alluded to. After prolonged deliberations, Congress and the president agreed that the best way to do that was for NASA to turn over the delivery of cargo and crew to the International Space Station and other low Earth orbit destinations to private companies so that we could concentrate on building America's next generation space exploration system, the Orion spacecraft, the model of which is behind me, and the Space Launch System. By investing in American companies and American ingenuity, we're spurring free market competition to give taxpayers more bang for the buck, while enabling NASA to do what we do best, reach deeper into our solar system. We're also ending the outsourcing of American space jobs and bringing them right back here to Houston and other states and cities all across this country. This strategy is producing tangible results. On March 1st, SpaceX launched the second of 12 scheduled cargo missions to the ISS. The company's Dragon capsule executed a successful berthing to the ISS 2 days later and has now delivered 1,200 pounds of supplies, fresh foods, and science experiments. As the only vehicle capable of returning large amounts of cargo and experiments back to Earth, Dragon will be fully loaded when it splashes down in the Pacific off the California coast on March 25th. This capability is key to enabling NASA to attain our goal of sending humans to an asteroid and ultimately to Mars. These ambitious missions will depend on engagement from every sector of our society, from scientists and astronauts at our NASA centers to our corporate partners like Lockheed Martin and America's K-12 students. When Orion takes its first flight in 2014, that's next year, okay? This is 2013. 2014, next year, it will travel farther into space than any spacecraft developed for human spaceflight has flown in the 40 years since our astronauts returned from the moon. This will require new technologies, including new ways to keep our astronauts safe from deep space radiation. That is the purpose of this challenge, and we're excited that American students will be helping us to solve that problem. This project also supports NASA's commitment to inspiring more young people to study and pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the STEM disciplines. As you all know, STEM-educated workers are the key to America's technological leadership and economic growth in the 21st century. NASA and the entire aerospace industry in particular will need a steady pipeline of scientists, engineers, and technicians so we can continue to push the boundaries of exploration and do our part to reinvigorate America's manufacturing, scientific, and high-tech industries. The Orion Exploration Design Challenge will give more young people a chance to develop those skills. I want to thank Lockheed and our education team at NASA, led by former astronaut, my hero, Leland Melvin. And the young, hey, come on. Leland's a unique individual. I think most of you know that, and I brag about him all the time. There is no other human being on the surface of the earth who's ever played NFL football and also been to space. So that's my man. Leland and the young people of America are really going to help us do this. And I thank all of you for your commitment and involvement in America's space program. It's now my honor to have this opportunity to bring to the podium our great partner in this endeavor, the new president and CEO of Lockheed Martin, Marilyn Houston. Marilyn. Thank
you. Administrator Bolden, thank you very much for that kind introduction. Well, my thanks also to Associate Administrator Melvin and to Mr. Geyer of the Orion Program Office for this wonderful opportunity. And to Ms. Pinchback, thank you for your dedicated service to our schools and to our students. We at Lockheed Martin are grateful for the opportunity to once again support science, technology, engineering, and math education. Space exploration has inspired and fascinated young people for generations. And the Exploration Design Challenge is a unique way to capture and engage the imaginations of tomorrow's engineers and scientists. Innovation is the engine of American progress, and STEM education is the fuel that fires that engine. Yet we're facing a real challenge. As a generation of scientists and engineers retire, we aren't seeing enough young people stepping into these important technology careers. We need bright, creative leaders for these fields, and we need them to ensure that the innovation engine continues to drive our country's leadership, national security, and economic strength. At Lockheed Martin, we embrace the responsibility to champion and support STEM education. And that's why we're so proud to partner with educators, government agencies like NASA, and our communities on STEM initiatives that engage and inspire students. Many of our corporation's 60,000 engineers, scientists, and IT professionals support STEM education through school outreach, volunteerism, and charitable giving. Our volunteers work side by side in the classroom with students and teachers, mentoring and coaching students. Through our work, we know that what gets students excited about careers in technology is the chance to make a difference, to achieve things no one else has ever achieved, and to make a difference that is meaningful and lasting. And frankly, it's the same thing that motivates and inspires all of us in our jobs. This Exploration Design Challenge captures the opportunity perfectly. For the students here with us today, and those who are on NASA TV watching, you're about to embark on an amazing journey. The skills you'll learn from this challenge, problem solving, critical thinking, systems engineering, are the very same skills that our engineers apply to our most challenging problems every day. You're taking on a mission that is hugely important, keeping our astronauts safe during a journey through deep space. And all of you who participate will be part of something that's never been done before, the first test flight of Orion. NASA's vision and leadership are the driving force behind both this opportunity and the missions and memories that have inspired generations. For more than 5 decades, the men and women of Lockheed Martin have proudly worked side by side with NASA and on many of those missions, landing on the moon, exploring Mars, capturing pieces of comets and our sun, and traveling to outer reaches of the universe. It's fitting that we're here today in front of Orion, which will take humankind on its next great journey. Our moon is 1,000 times more distant from Earth than the International Space Station. And through Orion, our goal is to explore millions of miles beyond. Every journey starts with a single step, and the Orion's Exploration Flight Test 1 is a significant first step toward deep space human exploration. This mission will lay the foundation for future Orion flights and will take astronauts past the moon and on to asteroids and Mars. And those future missions will be led by a whole new generation of scientists, engineers, and explorers. Students like the bright, innovative young men and women joining us today. We know nothing teaches like real hands-on experience, and that's what draws Lockheed Martin to support programs like the Exploration Design Challenge. We recognize the amazing increase in learning that comes with critical thinking and real-world problem solving, and in this case, real out-of-this-world problem solving. Administrator Bolden, once again, thank you for this opportunity to partner with NASA and to help reach and inspire millions of students as we usher in a new generation of scientists, engineers, and explorers. It's now my pleasure to introduce Leland Melvin, NASA's Associate Administrator for Education and 2-time Space Shuttle astronaut. In his current role, Leland is responsible for the development and implementation of NASA's education programs. Using the excitement of the agency's exploration missions and scientific discoveries, he and his team are strengthening student involvement in STEM and helping build our next generation of explorers. Please join me in welcoming Leland Melvin, who will share some of the details of the Exploration Design Challenge.
Thank you, Marilyn. And I hate when Charlie does that. I'm very excited to be here, and I just want to say there's an African proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child. And when I think about this relationship with NASA and Lockheed Martin and how we're coming together to help inspire that next generation of explorer, I think about my roots growing up in a small town in Lynchburg, Virginia, with educators as parents. And for the students out here in the audience, hands-on experiential activities that Marilyn just talked about are what fuel your curiosity. Now, when I was a kid, my mother gave me an age-inappropriate chemistry set that was not vetted by OSHA. I created the most incredible explosion in my mother's living room, and that fueled my curiosity to become a chemistry major. So the things that we're trying to do with Orion and the Exploration Design Challenge will help you find that curiosity, will help you solve problems to help our astronauts, and maybe even you one day, fly an Orion to Mars. So the work that you're doing today in developing, creating radiation shields to help save us, keep us going to Mars, may be the radiation shield that saves your life one day. So a little bit more about the details of the challenge. You can actually go to nasa.gov/education/EDC